Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Get It Straight. This monthly meeting is hosted by the White Sands Residents Association, and we often invite members of administration to share information that's important to all of us. As usual, we begin with new residents when their pictures become available. And we have 4 new residents to introduce to you today. What's this doing up here?
Just one second.
What?
Just 1 second. There's a chat up. Go to the next slide.
Okay. Oh, shoot. Technical support. Kate Steichen and John Lowell moved into 121 on March 11th, 2025, relocating from Crestone, Colorado. And Becky Wussbaum and Sherm Harmer moved into 350, also on March 11th, busy day, relocating from downtown San Diego. So when you see these newcomers, please say hello and make them feel welcome. And don't forget, next week on Thursday, April 24th, at our inaugural Downey Welcome event, we will be celebrating all new residents who moved here since May of last year. And this event has been made possible by a generous endowment established by our own Carolyn Downey. Carolyn has been a resident at White Sands since 2007. And to her, we also owe the Downey Artist Series and separate endowments for team member education and recognition. Carolyn was so moved by the welcoming events that had been a tradition at White Sands since the 1980s to recognize the spirit of former resident Lola Lund, that when the fund created by Lola Lund's children ran out, Carolyn was determined to create an endowment that would keep alive the same spirit of welcome in perpetuity. The Downey Welcome event next week will be the first in this same tradition and spirit. So Carolyn is here today. Let's have a round of applause. And if you've not already made your reservation, the deadline is Monday, April 21st. Along with welcoming new residents, this is one of my favorite segments of Get It Straight, as it speaks to the culture of community that we have at White Sands. Since we did not have a Get It Straight last month, we have 4 milestones among team members to celebrate today. Bedoya DeRoyo marked 5 years as a certified nursing assistant in the health center on March 6th. And Philip Salcido marked 15 years as a restorative aide in the health center on March 1st. Scott Gervais marked 15 years as a food purchaser for dining services on April 27th. And our longevity prize goes to Eddie Enciso, who today celebrates 35 years as a CNA in the health center. Most of you may not know Eddie because he works the 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, but he's an essential member of our health center team. And normally, when team members reach this very important milestone, it means you get your personalized parking spot. However, Eddie takes the bus. So White Sands is going to be getting him a bus pass. And thank you to Shelley for that. So when you see them, please thank them for their dedication to White Sands and to the residents. At today's council meeting, just a couple of things. I am delighted to announce that Eduardo and Irene Feller have agreed to chair the team member appreciation for 2025. This comes under the business cluster. And the Safety and Security Advisory Team is now officially an administrative committee. And I'd like to thank Alan Armstrong and Jean Dotson for spearheading the team. And the idea behind this is to ensure that independent living residents all have an opportunity to go through one live emergency drill every year. We were not doing that for the 12 years that I've been living here. Speaking of committees, beginning next month at Get It Straight, each of our clusters will be presenting on their various committees, who was on them and what they do. Hopefully this will spark some of you to want to get involved. We will begin in May with Mike Foley's business cluster and wrap up in November with Eduardo Feller's communications cluster. Meanwhile, you should have found in your mailbox a copy of the updated officers and committees brochure, along with a list of recurring events. If you did not get this, please let me know. And of course, as soon as I put it in your mailboxes, it was instantly out of date, which is the trouble with anything that you print. But if you go to the committee's cube on Cubigo and you go to the individual pages, you will, for each cluster, you will see updated versions of all of the committee members. Now I have a couple of announcements. Many of you carry an emergency card in your wallet with White Sands information as well as key medical information. And Teresa Benson makes these. She's our move coordinator. And if you're new and you don't have one, or if your current card, like mine, is out of date, there will be a form in your mailbox to fill out. And then you could just complete the form and turn it into the front desk. And as Teresa has time, she will be making new cards and putting them in your mailboxes. Another announcement about lost and found. Recently, one of our residents lost his phone and he couldn't locate it, so he bought a new one. We had another resident who lost his phone but was found. So he didn't have to buy a new one. But starting now, anything that gets lost, particularly in the dining room, which is where many people leave things, will go straight to the front desk. So if you've lost something, please go to the front desk to the lost and found for any items. And then Pat asked me to make an announcement. The garage cleaning, the next round of garage cleaning is this Saturday. And the spaces to be cleaned are residents 97 through 108 and resident 192. And then staff spaces 193 to 210 and 110 to 125. Now, this happens from between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturday. In order to be successful, which it wasn't very well last week, residents have to move their cars. And you can park in the guest parking outside on the driveway or in any of the staff spaces on P2 that is not on this list. It's best if you move your car Friday evening or early Saturday morning. But in order, we've had people say that we need to clean the garage, so we need your cooperation in order to do that. Thank you. And let's see. Yeah, so I am delighted to have today with us Anita Fraley, who is the Vice President of Philanthropy for Human Good. And she's going to talk about charitable gift annuities and other ways that residents can make a legacy gift.
Her presentation.
What?
Her presentation.
Yeah. And the advantage of these is that you don't have to use current funds. And actually, CGAs actually pay you during your lifetime, but they hold the promise of a future gift. So, Anita.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm actually going to qualify what Anita said, because with a charitable gift annuity, you do fund it immediately. Other legacy type gifts, which I'll talk about, you don't, but I will get to that. So it's great to be here today. I was just telling Carolyn that, I live in Scripps Ranch near here, and it's been dark and gray and cold the whole day. So I pulled the suede jacket out. And of course, once I got down here to La Jolla, the sun's shining. So, but it's beautiful, like always. Are we ready to go? Okay. Okay, so today I just wanted to talk with you briefly about an overview of our foundation, what we are, because I know there are probably a lot of new residents here who may not have a lot of knowledge about our foundation. Mostly it's about legacy giving, which are gifts of the future, and generally, yes, no output today of funds, but particularly we're going to talk about the charitable gift annuity program because the rates are really high right now. There are a lot of benefits, and I'll go through that today. So our foundation committee is made up of residents here at White Sands. The residents really lead the committee. Shelley and I both work with those residents to raise money for programs that are important to you, the residents. And those programs enhance the community. They reduce operations for White Sands, help our team members and residents, and certainly help build that culture of philanthropy that's been such a part of White Sands history. So why do we have a foundation? What are some of the benefits? Well, you, the donor, you get to choose what program you want to support. We have programs like benevolence, team member education, special projects funds, a lot of different things. You get to choose. All your gifts stay here at White Sands. The money's invested and the investment earnings stay here as well. We never take money raised at White Sands and use it at another community. And then generally, all your gifts through the foundation will qualify for tax deductible eligibility. And as I said, it enhances the community, reduces overhead, and really builds on that sense of community and family. That's a hallmark of White Sands and Human Good. So generally, most residents, when you're giving money to different programs here, you simply write a check, or you might give stock or through your IRAs. Those are annual cash type gifts. And as I said today, I'm really going to talk about legacy giving, which is a promise of a future gift, or as we like to say, it's about leaving a little something behind. Cute photo, right? Probably the most common way that people think of in legacy giving is through a bequest or will, but you can also name White Sands as a beneficiary of different assets, like your IRA nest egg. I don't know that we have a lot of rebatable entrance fees here, but that's also another way you can give. You can give through a life insurance or annuity. Just name White Sands as a beneficiary, as well as bank, investment accounts, checking, savings. And as I said, mostly I'm going to talk about the charitable gift annuity, which pays income to the donor. The rate of return is based on your age, and it's good to be older. You get a higher rate and lots of tax benefits too. So what is a charitable gift annuity? It's basically a simple agreement between you and Human Good Foundation. It provides you secure income for the rest of your life, as long as you live. Lots of tax benefits, and the remainder goes to the White Sands program that you name. So how does it work? You basically are going to contact me or my staff, and we will pull together an illustration for you that shows for your particular situation what you would earn and what your tax benefits would be. There's no setup cost. There is a minimum donation of $10,000 to any White Sands fund. And as I said, it will pay fixed income for your lifetime. You get a big tax benefit at the time of the gift, and mostly tax-free income for a number of years. And again, this is based on your age. And as I said, White Sands receives the remainder. So we talked about this secure income for you, the tax savings, fixed income. Generally around 50% of the original gift is tax-free, and you can take that deduction the year of the gift, or you can spread it over 5 years. We've had, I think, 3 rate increases over the last 2 years. Our last increase was January. The top rate is now 10.1%. So really good rate, right? And I'm going to show you for different ages what those are. So here's just, some kind of facts and figures for Human Good. So this is across all of Human Good. Right now, we have about 100 active agreements. The value of those agreements is $6.5 million. The largest single gift we've ever received for a CGA is $1 million. And of course, the smallest gift is our minimum $10,000. Now let's look at White Sands. Looking specifically here, we have 10 active agreements right now at White Sands. The value of those is $1.9 million. So you can see you've got a big chunk of that total value. The largest single gift we've ever received here is $600,000. And I would tell you about a year ago, this value was probably more like $2.9 million. The big gift we got, I think, was last year. Anita, you remember the realized bequest? Yes. Yeah, it was last year, and it was from a resident a former resident of White Sands who actually had, I believe it was 14 charitable gift annuities. This resident started with one, really liked the program, liked having that secure income, and kept adding more. And the total value of all of those was over $1 million. And it created for that resident well over $100,000 in income each year. And then when the resident passed away last year, the remainder came to White Sands, and I'm thinking it was around $950,000. I don't know if anyone remembers the numbers. Does that sound right, Shelley? Yeah, I deal with these across all communities and forget, but I know it was very significant and really helped grow the benevolence fund. And I talked about that smallest gift. So the total annual payments we're making to residents here at White Sands right now is about $272,000. So what's the right age to take out a CGA? Again, just some numbers for you. Our youngest active annuitant, 69 years old. The average age, most residents who take out an agreement are 84 years old. Average age of our active annuitants right now is 92. The oldest annuitant at the time they signed an agreement was 98 years old. Isn't that great? And right now, our oldest annuitant is 104. And honestly, I think that's probably 105 because I think that's a number from last year. So we've had residents who have had CGAs probably 20 or 30 years. So they've been getting income a long time. Okay, let's look at some questions like, why is this a good option? Well, it pays a much higher rate than a certificate of deposit or money market account. The great thing is the rate is fixed. So at the time you take out an agreement, it doesn't change no matter what's happening in the stock market, in the economy. And, you know, we're seeing a lot of volatility right now. So it's a lot of security too, that you don't have to worry about that rate changing. And of course, it creates income for you, the donor. We follow the American Council on Gift Annuities rates. This group is the gold standard. They've been around since the 1930s. They set the rates and they look at age as well as the investment climate, like what's happening in setting those rates. They can raise or lower those rates at any time as they meet. And remember, I mentioned the rates have gone up about 3 times in the last 2 years. They could also go down. But once you have an agreement, you've signed it, even if the rates go down, your rate doesn't change. And of course, the other is true. If the rates go up, you're still locked in at the rate that was available at the time you signed the agreement. So now you can see some of the rates. I don't know if everyone can read these numbers, so I'll call out a few. If you're 80 years old, the current rate is 8.1%. If you're 85, 9.1%. Pretty good, right? And if you're 90 or older, 10.1%. So as I said, those rates are locked in at the moment. They could change. I don't expect a change within the next 30 days. I don't even know if there'll be a change this year. It's going to just depend on what's happening in the economy. And the great thing about CGAs, if you've reached the half-year point of your birthday, you get the higher rate. So let's say if you're 84 today and you have a birthday between now and October, you would be counted as an 85-year-old and get a 9.1% rate. So I always advise residents who are talking to me, if I see they're close to that half-year birthday, you know, I'll advise them that, hey, you can wait 2 weeks and get a higher rate. It all helps. So how do you get your payments? Well, that's up to you, monthly, quarterly, annually. You can have a check or direct deposit, which is what most residents do. And as I said, you get to choose where the remainder goes, which program at White Sands. Congress passed, I think it's been about 3 or 4 years ago, a special opportunity to offer a one-time withdrawal from your IRA as tax-free. And they started at $50,000, so maybe it's been 4 years. and they've raised it a bit each year. So now that maximum withdrawal is $54,000. So who does this make sense for? Well, first of all, you want to make a charitable gift. That's part of the gift annuity. If you have a well-funded IRA, substantial RMD, maybe you're not using all of that RMD, this could make sense for you. If you don't itemize, I'm guessing most of you do. I can't itemize anymore with the tax law change, but this is a way for those of us who can't itemize that you could remove your money from your IRA tax-free. So you're getting the tax benefit on the front end. And of course, it makes sense for all of us because we all want to minimize taxation, right? And generating income always sounds good. So I just have a few examples here. For an 85-year-old, the rate is 9.1%. So for that age, the yearly payment would be $910. Now, of that $910, $675 would be tax-free for 7 years. So you'd only be taxed on that 200 or so. And then you would receive a one-time charitable deduction of $5,410. Now that's tied to age. So if I was looking at an 86-year-old, that deduction would vary a little bit. It's tied to the age, and that's why we do those illustrations, just to provide you the info so you can see what's what for your particular situation. Now, if you took that same $10,000 rather than cash or writing a check, and you took it from your IRA and gave it directly to White Sands as a CGA, your payment's going to be the same, $910 a year, but you'd get all that tax benefit on the front end. So when you take your money out, it won't be taxed. It won't be taxed when you do your personal taxes for that year. So rather than paying tax on $10,000, let's say that's part of your RMD, you have to withdraw it. Now you would only pay taxes on the $910 of income. So it's a great benefit. And I'll tell you, the last 2 or 3 years, this is what many, many residents are choosing to do versus giving cash. But either one is fine. And then I just added an example for a $100,000 gift. And really, you're just adding a zero to that cash gift. So $9,100 per year of that $6,752 tax-free, a big benefit there. And in this case, it would be that one-time charitable deduction over $54,000. So that's probably a case where you'd want to spread that deduction over 5 years. So that's it. I hope that made sense. Do we have time to see if anyone has a question? Does anyone have any questions? Ed, yes.
Nita, I think that this is an excellent presentation, and the emphasis of the presentation is on the benefit to the donor. I think it made very clear how that benefits us if we choose any of these mechanisms to make a contribution. What you glossed over a little bit fast, and which I think is important here, is that you have a choice, whatever mechanism you use, you have a choice of designating where that money is going inside White Sands. What particular program or part of White Sands activity you would benefit with it. I think that's very important. Animals is, I want to help, say, scholarship program.
Right.
And then you know that you can designate 100% or whatever percent
Mhm.
you want of that program to go to the scholarship program.
That's right. I mean, Ed's point is well taken. You get to decide which program the remainder of your CGA goes to. We've got the scholarship program. We have the White Sands Resident Association that provides so many benefits to residents. We have the benevolence fund that many people have given to in the past. And the other benefit, I mentioned it, but I could emphasize, is how this helps White Sands, because generally we get a high amount from these charitable gift annuities. Like I mentioned, the one from last year made a huge difference in the benevolence fund. You know, it brought it up nearly $1 million. And you could do that to any of the funds. We have a special projects fund that basically pays for special items that Shelley might not have money in her budget in any given year. She'd love to have money for everything, but it doesn't work out that way. We have a chapel fund. We have a library fund. What am I forgetting? That we have a lot of funds here, education funds for our team members and Natasha Scholars Fund, which is for college-age children of team members. And there are more than that. I'm sure I'm forgetting, a few, but Eduardo's absolutely right. You can give to any of those programs. Yes, sir.
For example, for the individual, you blind.
You can. Yes, you can do a CGA as a couple, and for those rates, it's a complicated chart. It's kind of impossible to share on the screen, but you can call me. And what I need to know is the birth dates of each person. And then, there's like this cross graph that we go to find the rate. It's going to be a bit smaller, lower than these rates because, now it's two people, but you're going to receive the same payment. And the surviving spouse will continue to get that same payment as long as he or she lives. So it's also a very good option for a couple as well. Good questions. Any more questions? Okay, I just want to tell you that we have a brochure that kind of highlights the main points I've made today. Inside is a rate sheet. Because who was talking about, you said as soon as something's printed, it's out of date. Well, that kind of happened to us. We printed these brochures and we listed a few rates and then they raised the rates. So we just added an insert that reflects what I showed you on the screen today that's inside this brochure. Anita Holmes tells me she thinks there's some. She thinks there's some up in the lobby above the mailboxes where you can drop your rent statement. I have plenty with me. I'll be hanging around after the Get It Straight today. So I'll be happy if anyone wants a copy, just come and see me on your way out and or give me a call. And my number and information is on here, and we'll be happy to get you a copy of this. Or if you want more information, I'm happy to share that with you. If you want to meet with me in person, yay, fortunately I live close by and I can come see you, or you can call or email me. Okay?
Great.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Anita. The culture of philanthropy is as old as White Sands, really is. And I happen to be a member of our Legacy Circle, and I welcome any of you who are interested to join. We will be recognizing our Legacy Circle members at a special luncheon on October 24th. Let's see. So we're going to
Video?
go, yes. Lots of changes on this. I am going to talk about the Big Connect and our resident team member partnerships. The Big Connect is Human Goods annual meeting. It's a time to celebrate team members, residents, and leadership and sponsors and report on the state of Human Good and the direction we're going. And this year we met from March 31st to April 2nd at the Hyatt Regency. And the theme was All Together Human Good. But before I report on the meeting, I wanted to circle back to a presentation I made in December about the role of Human Goods Community Support Centers. Since residents often ask me why we pay a management fee. And the community support centers provide operations management. They manage all the financial, legal, and compliance issues for our life plan communities, and they oversee the team member and resident experience. But they are also our front line in crisis. And I'd like to share this short video that debuted at the Big Connect on Human Goods response to the wildfires in January.
You know, I was at a conference and I got the call at 5 a.m. and I rented a rental car and I drove as fast as you can possibly drive to get back to help with the evacuation.
Within, I think, 15 minutes, there were 20 to 25 CSE team members on a Teams call.
I mean, it's remarkable to watch the coordination and the culture come alive in a moment where you can't script those moments. You are flying on culture alone at that point, because it's scary, it's traumatic, it's chaotic,
to know that I live somewhere where the people who work here actually care about my well-being. Like, yeah, there's a fire. Yes, you have to be evacuated, but we're going to make sure you're fed. We're going to make sure you have Wi-Fi. We're going to make sure that your family knows where you are. We're going to make sure you have all of the things so that you're comfortable. We're even going to put you in a hotel because we don't feel that it's safe for you. You know, most people wouldn't do that. Most organizations wouldn't do that.
And I was just so proud about how everybody jumped in. And everybody didn't just jump in, they had family members there. You know, we had team members who brought a spouse to help. How we were able to build out an assisted living wing in a hotel, how we were able to bring entertainment to residents. Even though we had dining services provided at the hotels, our dining services teams were there to help.
And the staff at every step of the way was there with us. When we got to the hotel, we got to meet all of you from various parts of the communities. And then you set up the war room. That fascinated me because Andrew had told us that they would have anything that we needed and didn't have, they would get for us. True to their word.
The residents knew that we cared more than just making sure they got out of the evacuation zone in a safe and timely way. We cared about them and every moment of their experience there. We had life enrichment there. We had a magician. We had a DJ dancing party. We had daily messages that went out to the residents, and we got feedback from the residents about how to successfully return home. So it truly was that partnership with our residents come to life in an emergency situation, which is when it really matters.
There were groups of team members who stayed at the campus to verify that it was safe, to monitor, to make sure that when the power came back, to monitor the utilities, to help those residents who are sheltering in place.
Our residents are just marvelous. And I know there was a lot of fear, but we had so many step up. As an example, a neighbor, he had a generator. He set the generator out in front of his house with some solar panels and then had plugs there so everybody in the immediate neighborhood could go at any time and have their cell phone charged.
We all came together and we all was closer. We learned more about each other during that traumatic thing.
We are communities. We're very much a family. Every human good community you go to, it doesn't matter. They don't look alike. The people are different, but the spirit is the same.
If anyone ever had any quandary or questions about whether human good puts residents first, second, or third, that went out the door. We know that we come first.
No matter where you go in life, no matter how much money you make in life, there's no place like home. I mean, home is home.
So we have all of our value shirts, and my personal favorite one is courage. That word doesn't really mean anything until you put it into action, and the action is doing what's right even when it's hard. That's our definition. And every single team member stepped up to do what was right even when it was really, really hard. And I'm so proud of the team for showing that we live those values. They're not just something that lives on a shirt. We really mean it.
And one comment.
Sure.
To that.
I would just like to say, since I've been talking about philanthropy, that after that fire broke out, we started getting calls from certainly the residents at Royal Oaks, which is our life plant community that was evacuated, but all over the country, including our communities in Philadelphia, saying we want to do something to help the team members who either lost their home or had expenses of relocating. And over $80,000 was contributed. So we were able to help the team member who lost her home, get her temporary housing, help get some furniture. Now we've been helping her like with a deposit to get a new apartment. She has a child, she's a single mom. And then the team members who had to be relocated helped cover those expenses, like if they had to go to a hotel. So again, this is about that culture of philanthropy that exists, definitely a White Sands, a long history, but across Human Good, makes me really proud to be part of the foundation team. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Zoom quit unexpectedly.
Sorry, it went to sleep with me talking.
Okay. I'm just reading what the sign said on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope that gives you a better appreciation for the CSC and for Human Good as an entity. I think I've been accused of being more pro-human good than pro-residents, and I don't think that's true at all. But I do, having watched the transformation from just being Southern California Presbyterian Homes to being part of Human Good and a much larger organization, I know that we're in a much better place, a much stronger place, and part of a remarkable organization. So back to the Big Connect. Parts of that were live streamed here on Tuesday, April 1st. Or you could watch it on your computer, or you could come down to the Ocean View Lounge. But I don't think that the energy and the enthusiasm of the audience at the hotel came across. There were two main themes this year: health span and partnership. And the first is kind of an example of the making of the second, and I'll explain that. You've heard me talk about the XPRIZE Health Span Challenge. And there are two key terms here: lifespan, which deals with chronological age from birth to death, and health span, which is the amount of time you live healthy, free from chronic disease and age-related disabilities. We have made great strides in extending lifespan in the United States in the last 125 years. Today, lifespan has extended from under 50 years in 1900 to 79 years in 2020. Females do better than men, I'm sorry to tell you. And there are also disparities based on race. It's not showing up on
The Zoom, it wasn't.
Oh. So the people on Zoom missed that.
They heard you, but they couldn't see.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the goal, as this chart shows, is to maximize the number of years that you live in good health. And unfortunately, that's going the wrong way. Health span has actually dropped from 65.3 years in 2000 down to 63.9 years in 2021. Again, females do better than males. So the morning meeting was devoted to presentations by Remy Gross, who is the Executive Vice President and Head of Business Development for the Buck Institute of Research on Aging, and Dr. Lee Hood, who is the CEO of Phenome Health. And I couldn't begin to summarize their presentations, so I would encourage you to watch the recordings of the Big Connect, which have been posted on the Human Good website, and I will post the link on Cubigo. All of the presentations of the day were recorded. But the basic premise is that we need to shift from a sick care system to one of preventive care. Dr. Hood goes into detail in his book, The Age of Scientific Wellness: Why the Future of Medicine is Personalized, Predictive, Data-Rich, and in Your Hands. To quote from the cover synopsis, today most doctors wait for clinical symptoms to appear before they act, and the 10 most commonly prescribed medications confer little or no benefit to most people taking them. Dr. Hood argues, and he and the Buck Institute are proving, that we must move to precision health, a form of highly personalized care they call scientific wellness. Using information gleaned from our blood and genes and tapping into the data revolution that's made possible by AI, doctors can catch the onset of disease years before symptoms arise, revolutionizing prevention. Current applications have already shown startling results: diabetes reversed, cancers eliminated, Alzheimer's avoided, autoimmune conditions kept at bay. As soon as I finish reading this, I will donate my copy to the library so you can check it out, unless Shelley has an extra copy that she's one more. Okay, you might put that in. There are two other key terms that are essential to this personalized approach to healthcare, and they are genome and phenome. And using data from both spheres, you can identify risk factors and use these to build a prevention plan. And there are 4 key actions that you can take to focus on helping move the needle in the right direction. And they deal with what you eat, how much you sleep, moving, and connecting. I realize this sounds very simplistic, but there's more to come. And after the talk from Remy and Dr. Hood, we broke into groups for a discovery tour, and we visited 3 different sites to listen to Human Goods partners for our XPRIZE Challenge application. In addition to Dr. Hood and Remy Gross, there were Chris Furmansky, who was the managing director of Pacific Health Ventures. And Dr. Furmansky is a clinical technologist with over 30 years of experience translating cutting-edge science into real-world healthcare solutions. And the third partner with our application is a company called Svexa, which is a world leader in human physiology, precision health, and data science. And they develop and measure training programs for elite athletes. But they are now applying those same principles to other populations, including seniors. So what's the upshot? The next day, we learned that Human Good was not selected to be one of the 40 semifinalists for the XPRIZE HealthSpan Challenge. But as John told the Human Good Resident Council, Human Good's participation was never about winning the prize. The XPRIZE was a vehicle to help focus and galvanize our efforts to measurably improve healthspan and to bring scientific wellness to inspire the best life. In many ways, this is good news for Human Good because we can move more quickly and explore more opportunities that positively impact lives of our residents and team members without having to adhere to the restrictions and resource requirements of the competition. And our participation in the XPRIZE competition put Human Good on the map in a truly differentiating way. It catalyzed partnerships with world-renowned scientific institutes like the Buck Institute, Phenome Health, and Svexa. And all of them are excited to continue working with us to bring scientific wellness from their labs to our lives. This in no way changes Human Good's commitment to that effort. If anything, coming away from the Big Connect, we're more excited than ever because this will enable us to involve more residents, more team members, and more communities in more trials and studies. We remain terrific, as John said, we remain terrifically advantaged position. We have the right partners, but most importantly, we have an enthusiastic and supportive partnership with our resident leadership to accelerate, amplify, and extend the work we need to do to grow the mission of Human Good. So I would say, stay tuned. And then that brings me to partnerships. And Tuesday afternoon at the Big Connect, we featured 5 of our 6 resident team member partnerships. And as I said during the introduction of that segment, which you can see on the recordings, when Human Good Resident Council was formed in 2018, I could never have envisioned that such partnerships would be such an integral part of Human Good. Since I've been chair, I have advocated at every opportunity for residents to have a voice in shaping life in our life plan communities. But it took quite a while to gain traction and the support of the board and leadership team. But we have that now. And with the exception of the liaison team, which was the idea of Dan Okas, who's the COO, all of these initiatives originated with our residents and reflect issues that are important to all of them across our life plan communities. And these are the partnerships. May 2021, the Community Engagement Platform Committee. In May 2022, we started the liaison team. In June of that year, the Environmental Sustainability Action Committee. In May 2023, the Mental Wellness Team. In April this year, the Resident Advisory on Innovative Services and Experiences, or RAISE Committee. And right now the Resident Dining Advisory Committee. And a little bit more about these. CEPS was born during COVID out of our frustration with the arrival of Cubigo as Human Good's new communication platform, which came with no training. And some of you who've been here a while will remember that at several of our Get It Straights, we used to have a tutorial. We'd have a Cubigo lesson on how to use the various cubes from our dial instructor, Eva Lewis. And eventually we actually convinced Human Good that she should tape record some of these videos for the other life plan communities. Our liaison team divides our life plan communities into geographic clusters with a team leader. And these leaders work with the Human Good operations team on major issues that have been identified across our communities. To date, we have tackled emergency preparedness, which is why we have the Safety and Security Advisory Team, dining, mental health, sustainability, innovation, and communication. And the liaison team was the impetus behind the creation of the RAISE Committee and the Dining Advisory Committee. And ESAC, which currently has representatives from 15 of our 23 life plan communities, our main goal for 2025 is to craft a sustainability mission statement for Human Good with accompanying action goals. Residents see this as a valuable marketing tool, and we will continue to advocate for those that can have an impactful effect on both operational costs and our environment. The mental wellness team arose from the terrible impact of COVID, creating isolation, depression, and anxiety among residents and team members alike. In addition to identifying existing resources, such as social services staff, support groups, and community resources, they have advocated for a greater investment in mental health resources. And to this end, Human Good will be adding a social services director to the CSC team to develop programs and resources for those life plan communities that don't have dedicated social services staff. RAISE is the result of residents wanting to help select innovations, be it the next Cubigo, a robot vacuum cleaner that we're testing in Jenkintown, or an AI assistant, to be employed at our life plan communities or across Human Good to enhance services, improve efficiency, and save money. In addition to assessing ideas already in the pipeline, initially this committee is going to focus on strategic efforts to improve health span. And I am pleased that Jay Coonan is White Sands representative to this new committee. And our Resident Dining Advisory Committee is designed to gain input and perspective from residents about the dining program strategy across all levels of care in our life plan communities. And in every case, we believe that by leveraging the experience and expertise and vision of residents, Human Good can more accurately enable us to live our best life possible, because after all, only the residents can define what that is. And these partnerships also what make Human Good communities unique. We aren't just the usual residents from any other senior living provider. We're a community of individuals working together to redefine what senior living means. And that's what we mean when we say altogether Human Good. So does anybody have any questions? That then concludes our meeting for today. I want to thank you for coming. Our next meeting is May 15th, and our focus is going to be on the education programs for our team members. And remember, on your way to dinner or home from dinner, you can watch the latest edition of our All Resident slideshow. And if you don't like your picture, send me a new one. Thank you.